I'm so glad to see so many of you here. And to begin, as an organizer, I want to give you this yellow pad and ask if you'd be kind enough, once again, to give your name and carefully spell your email address if you want analysis and information about Iraq and Afghanistan and Pakistan. No more, no less, no solicitations, just a spreading list of activists who need to be in communication as these wars go on and on and on. There are so many things to speak about, but in 10 minutes there's 2 or 3 that I think have great importance to me personally. I was out in the streets part of the day today, and I spent a lot of time with my oldest friend, one of my oldest friends, who's been my college roommate, who's been a lawyer in Denver for a very long time. And he had said to me last night that he'd never seen tension surrounding the police department in the whole time he's been here in Denver. And I was out there today, and I talked to these officers, and I don't think that they understand that they are part of a process of manipulation that has been going on at least since Seattle, if not previous centuries. They have all these new weapons. They get the new weapons plus overtime only because there's a fear of some kind of horrible anarchist attack or terrorist attack or something will happen. And they go on that 1% doctrine of, well, what if there's 1% chance? And they told me, I was talking to one fellow with a brand new gun that fires a very powerful pellet, that I said, you know, I don't think anything's going to happen that you can't handle in a town that hosts the Broncos every week. and he said, well, you don't know what happened at the last 2 conventions. Of course, he didn't know who I was, and I said, well, actually, I was there, and I remember very little happening compared to what the police and the FBI said was going to happen. But in his mind, he thinks these things did happen. They are fabricating the weapons of destruction in order to bring about a greater police-state buildup with funding, $50 million in funding, as the benefit. And I'll tell you what I mean. He said that all around the mall in the night while we're sleeping, they're taking care of us, and they're just hauling in weapons that have been stockpiled. Just hauling these weapons in. Bricks, and I said, well, there's a difference between a brick for throwing and a brick for building a house. Don't most cities have bricks sitting on sidewalks? But he's absolutely convinced, and he's programmed, and there are thousands of these stories being circulated in the homes across the city, that there's a stockpile of weapons out there that justifies this huge buildup. And I'll leave it at that, except to point out that too much law and order is what causes disorder.
Yes.
And we have to be extremely I said this to the police chief today. We had a kind of jovial conversation. He's a nice fellow, smart. He's in touch with Adam Young over at Kent State, a fine organizer who's been trying to handle this madness for weeks. And yet I got this eerie feeling that there's 20 jurisdictions here that are not completely controlled by anyone. You've got the guys on the motorcycles who handle the Hells Angels events up in Montana. They brought their horses here. And anything might happen at any minute, and we know who benefits from that. We don't. It's part of something that's been going on. And it's about provoking a greater fear in the public in order to support law and order politics. And it's backed, it's subsidized by funding that the Republicans can't find a way to generate any other way. But $50 million from Homeland Security is not a bad donation to the Denver Police Department. So, that's the first point I want to make. I think there is good reason to fear what the police, an element of the police, based on false intelligence and fabricated information and panic, may